Hey, middle school cooking class, it's Mrs. Ford coming to you from my kitchen. And today we're going to be making homemade macaroni and cheese. I've already cooked 2 cups of pasta. I like to use elbow macaroni, but you can use whatever pasta you like. And we're going to be making a roux. What's a roux, you ask? Well, I'm here to tell you that a roux is a thickening agent because we want that cheese to be in, not just throwing cheese in the macaroni, but it's going to be a sauce that the macaroni then can cook in. So that's what we're going to be doing. So I've got my margarine. You can use butter. And I've got my recipe here, which tells me that I'm going to be melting. Let me check here before I do it. I'm going to be using 2 tablespoons, which it's already marked on the margarine. You already know that. Melting 2 tablespoons of margarine in my pot. You don't want a high heat because you don't want it to burn. You just need it to melt, and it starts melting right away. And then I like to clean up as I go. You know me, that's important. And we're going to add some things to it, like flour, salt, something that's called dry mustard. It's a spice that's easy to find in your stores. Black pepper, and then we're going to add our milk and our cheese, and that will create our sauce that we'll pour over our cooked macaroni. Add our dry ingredients to the margarine. We need a 1/4 cup of flour. That's really the main base with the margarine for the roux. And then we're going to add a teaspoon of salt. And a 1/2 teaspoon of dry mustard. Now, on occasion, I have been known to not have dry mustard, and I've used just straight up mustard. You just use less of it, or else your macaroni and cheese tastes like mustard. It's just a flavoring thing in there. And then black pepper. You can measure it, or you can do it with your eye, however much pepper you like. And we are going to mix that together. And that is our start to the roux. See how that's all kind of forming together? One clump. And then we'll turn our heat back on, low. And we're going to start to add a little bit of milk. Now, why don't we want to pour the whole thing of milk in all at once? Because then you really can't incorporate this thickening agent. It would just all become lumpy, and you'd have a hard time getting those lumps out. So you do it a little bit at a time. And then once it starts getting a little bit more than that, I like to use a whisk, because it just incorporates it a little bit better. So again, I have my flame on low, and I'm going to mix this all together. And I bet you're asking, Mrs. Ford, what are you having baked macaroni and cheese with for dinner? I've got a ham in the oven, and I have my green beans in my pressure cooker. This is a different pressure cooker than we've used at school, but it's the old school way. You put it on the burner, and it's the same concept though. It's going to build pressure, and it's going to cook my green beans down. So that's what we have. That's a tradition in our house. Those are foods that all go together really well. All right, so we're going to continue to build our roux. I have 2 cups of milk. I think the recipe actually calls for more than that, but I like my macaroni sauce a little bit thicker than what that does. Okay. And Jeremy and Matthew, I know you're dying to taste this, but unfortunately, Thanks to the quarantine, we can't be eating. But if you guys make some things at home, feel free to record yourself and send that to me. I would love to watch you cooking at home. Some of the things like that we've made already. French toast, eggs. All right, so this doesn't look very thick right now, but once this milk gets hot, it's gonna thicken up. So we'll come back when we're ready to add the cheese. It's starting to bubble a little bit, so now I'm ready to add my cheese. I'm actually gonna turn my burner off so that I'm careful not to. Now you can grate cheese. You know we've done that in class. You can also buy, a bag of already shredded cheese. And what I usually do, this is 2 cups. I usually save just that very bottom part of the bag to sprinkle on the top. And that's the yummy, crusty, crunchy stuff that's fabulous once it's baked in the oven. So I leave that about that much in the bag, and then I stir this in and have it melt. And because the milk is already hot, that's going to melt right away. Okay, so we've melted the cheese and we're ready to pour it over our already cooked macaroni. Now I want to know who's going to come and wash my dishes. All right, so here we have this yummy cheese sauce on top of our, we're going to mix that together. And thank you to my daughter Bethany. You all have met her. She's the one that's videotaping this for us. Yay. All right, so see how that's all mixed together. And then we're going to add the rest of this cheese. Sprinkle it on the top. My oven is already on. So we've preheated the oven to, what does this say? Is it 375? 375. All right, so I do that, and then I take I use Italian style breadcrumbs, and I just kind of sprinkle that on top of the cheese. And then it's ready to bake. And we'll come back and show you a picture when it's all done baking. Out of the oven. Look at that yummy, delicious, crunchy topping that we talked about. All right, so homemade macaroni and cheese. Remember the roux that we talked about, the thickening agent that we started with, along with the cheese, made the sauce over top of cooked macaroni already, and then we put the cheese and the breadcrumbs on top. Deliciousness.